From Cyclist, welcome to GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show. Coming up this week, 5 reasons why cycling is better than it's ever been, and 1 reason why it's worse. We've also got another epic fundraising ride from Lachlan Morton, a new gravel race from F1 star Valtteri Bottas, and a hack/Bodge of the week Halloween special. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that Ollie Bridgewood was in the hot seat at the National Hill Climb Championships on Sunday.
Yep, he led for all of 2 minutes, although he was eventually unseated, sadly, later finishing 81st.
Which isn't bad though, is it, when you consider there were 269 finishes at the event?
Pretty decent, actually. He's been flying recently. We also learned this week that the Tour de France next year has the least amount of time trialling kilometres since time trialling was introduced at the race in 1934, with only 22 kilometres of time trials. Now, some people are going to love that, others, I think, might hate it.
Yeah, it has been quite controversial, hasn't it? Finally this week, we've decided that cycling is better than it's ever been.
And to back that thesis up, we've come up with 5 reasons. So let's crack straight on with number 1. Cycling is better than it's ever been because there is more cycling infrastructure around the world than ever before.
Yes, New York, London, Paris.
Munich.
Yes, Munich as well. Everyone's talking about it. Cycling infrastructure, but Montreal, Seville, Madrid, the list goes on and on and on. Even in Amsterdam, where it's already a safe haven for cyclists, they're putting more money into cycling infrastructure. National and local governments around the world are realising that the benefits of improved cycling infrastructure are not only environmental, but economic too.
So if you live in a city and want to commute to work or do the school drop-off by bike, the chances are that it will get safer and easier to do so in the near future if it isn't already.
Exactly. Take Edmonton in Alberta, Canada as an example, where $170 million has recently been set aside to increase the number of cycle lanes. Or this new competition from Bloomberg Philanthropies, where up to 10 cities around the world will receive up to £1 million of funding to build new bike lanes.
Of course, all of these schemes or ideas come up against resistance from local motorists, but it's a sign that we're getting there. Things are slowly but surely heading in the right direction.
Which is great, isn't it? The second reason why cycling is better than it's ever been is because there are more people cycling than ever before. Now that might, in part, be down to reason number 1, better cycling infrastructure, because that means there are more people who feel safe enough to ride bikes in cities.
And with more being ploughed into that infrastructure, we can hope that the number of people using a bike as their primary form of transport will increase exponentially. But there are also more and more people taking cycling up as a leisure activity too.
Yeah, and a large part of that change happened during the pandemic in 2020, didn't it? And whilst a lot of people have slipped back into their former habits and lifestyles, there are those that have stuck with it, getting fitter, healthier, and to a large degree, you'd say happier as well.
Reason number 3, choice. When it comes to bikes, there is more choice than there has ever been. Now, some of you might think this is a bad thing, that you need a specialist bike for every type of cycling you do.
But whilst that might be true for some more affluent people or cycling obsessed people out there, the extra choice that we're talking about also encompasses bikes that can serve more than one purpose in your life. So my wife Lorraine, for example, has an Orbea hybrid e-bike, which she and I've got to say use for going down to the shops, but she also uses it to ride down our local gravel tracks as a leisure activity.
And whatever your thoughts on gravel bikes, there's no doubt that they are versatile. They allow you to ride on all but the most extreme of terrain, road, gravel, single track, commuting. You can do it all with the same bike if you wish.
But anyway, reason number 4, cycling is more comfortable than ever.
For a number of reasons. Bigger tyres, better geometry, better suspension.
Batteries and motors, that's an important one because they both make cycling a lot more comfortable, don't they?
Well, e-bikes certainly take some of the pain away, but if I can continue, a larger range of gears for all terrain, better clothing for all seasons. Even Canadians can ride in the depths of winter with the right clothing and equipment. All in all, the experience of riding a bike now is far more comfortable than it was 15 or 20 years ago.
Agreed with you. Finally, reason number 5 why cycling is better than it's ever been is because it's almost impossible these days to get lost.
Mobile phones, GPS units, they allow us to navigate wherever we want without fear that we're going to be stranded in the middle of nowhere, hours from home with the light quickly fading and temperatures plummeting.
Yeah, it's a safety net, isn't it?
It is a bit of a
I
safety
know
net.
we'd all be lost without, if you'll pardon the pun. That said, I also know there will be loads of people out there watching this video who love to get lost, to be out there following their own nose rather than a line on a map on their head unit. That sense of adventure is why many people adore riding a bike, and that's absolutely fine, but at least we all have the choice now.
I know what you're all asking yourselves. What has gotten worse about cycling then?
Well, what we've decided, Connor, isn't it, is that the biggest reason that cycling has got worse is that it is more expensive than it's ever been before.
And unfortunately, it might get even worse, which is a big problem. Ideally, bikes should be accessible to the masses, and whilst not everyone wants or even needs a top-of-the-range road or mountain bike, the cost of an entry-level safe, roadworthy bike is steadily rising above inflation too.
Yes, the aforementioned e-bikes are another example, aren't they? So if you want to replace your car with a cargo e-bike from a reputed brand, you're probably looking at a similar price bracket to a half-decent second-hand car. That's not going to encourage particularly many people to ditch four wheels for two, is it?
It's not, and in a different area of cycling, I have a real fear that the expense of it will further limit the demographics that can afford to start racing.
Yeah, I really share that fear, and it's not just the initial outlay needed to acquire a bike with which to race on, it's the cost of maintaining it, replacing damaged or worn parts after crashes, for example, race entry fees, and indeed the expense of getting to events in the first place.
Of course, if you are motivated and talented enough, there is a strong likelihood that a generous local bike shop owner, club or sponsor will help you out. But how many children would even get started in the first place?
There's probably quite a few that won't get started because of the cost of cycling, isn't there? And I think as a parent, the cost of everything could well put you off in the first place. After motor racing or yachting, it's got to be one of the most expensive sports out there, and certainly more expensive than it was when I was starting out in the mid-90s.
Time to get your thoughts at home though. What do you think has got better about cycling in the last decade or two, and what has got worse?
And indeed, have the positives outweighed the negatives? As always, you can let us know in the comment section just down below.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we'll start with the news reported previously concerning British Cycling's partnership with oil giant Shell. At that time, it caused quite the backlash, with many members of the national governing body railing against the decision, which came about as a way of plugging a budget deficit.
The likes of Greenpeace came into weigh against a company like Shell, partnering with an organisation which represents cycling and all its environmental benefits. Now that fallout does appear to have continued behind closed doors, because the news came out yesterday that the CEO of British Cycling, Brian Facer, is now stepping down from his role after a mutual agreement between the board of directors at British Cycling.
There's been no official link between the two events, but as they were just 2 weeks apart, it's hard not to jump to conclusions.
It is, yes. Now away from cycling and over to the world of F1 now though. And one driver who's been voicing his concerns about climate change is Valtteri Bottas. So the Formula One racing legend has recently announced a gravel race that he's launching in his home country of Finland.
Created in conjunction with SPT Gravel, FNLD Gravel will be a European gravel event to rival that of the big US races we've seen become so popular in recent years.
Yeah, and from the sounds of the article, it seems that Bottas hopes to use the race to highlight how people can make simpler choices to make a difference when it comes to the environment. In an interview with The Independent, Bottas also noted how he was conscious about the impact of his own chosen profession, motor racing, hoping perhaps that cycling and this race can provide some inspiration for people to do better.
My first thought is, that's great. Second thought is, won't most participants be flying across for the race?
I thought exactly the same thing, I've got to say. I mean, we have to hold our own hands up, don't we? And so that we are guilty ourselves of flying around the world to various destinations for cycling events and filming, etc. But it does appear slightly strange to promote that race as consciously being around environmental issues, doesn't it?
Perhaps there's more to that article in The Independent than is conveyed. Anyway, from F1 to the city streets in Bruges now, and according to a new law in Belgium, even if you took a race car around the centre of town, you still wouldn't be able to overtake a cyclist.
And the reason for that is because the local authority in the historic and extremely beautiful, I've got to say, city of Bruges, has now made it illegal for motorists to overtake cyclists in 90 of the Belgian city streets. Bruges now boasts 13 kilometres of bicycle streets. How cool is that?
Yeah, I love this. On those streets, cyclists will have the right to use the full width of the lane, while motorists must adhere to the 30km/h speed limit, which is already common across the city. And by law, they cannot pass anyone riding a bike.
Yeah, this has come about as a way to create cycle lanes at minimal cost, with only some signs needing changing and road markings, which is much cheaper than installing new or segregated cycle lanes.
An idea which appears to be spreading across Europe too, and we think it's a great thought. I do miss Belgium, they get these things right, don't they?
Yeah.
In other news, EF Education Easy Post, Lachlan Morton and Ukrainian teammate Mark Podun were in Poland over the weekend, giving out 13 bikes to Ukrainian children who fled the conflict in their homeland after the Russian offensive began.
Both have been doing an incredible amount over recent months to support those in need as a result of the war. Earlier on this year, Morton raised $297,000 for Global Giving's Ukraine Crisis Relief Fund when he rode from Munich to the Ukrainian border. That was back in March. Whilst Mark Podun has been collecting cycle clothing and equipment to donate to refugees.
Lachlan Morton is a real inspiration, isn't he?
Oh, yes.
With everything he does. Great stuff.
I completely agree, he's a real legend. A couple of bits of housekeeping from us at GCN now. First up, the winner of the Jack Wolfskin bike packing bundle with tent and all the bags you could possibly need is...
Luke Norcutt.
Well done to you, Luke.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes. Send us some pics, actually, of your first bike packing trip. Now, for those of you that didn't win in that giveaway, don't despair, because we've got a new one for you, courtesy of Lightskin.
We have 3 of their NACA road lights to give away, as used by Ollie in his epic Flanders ride. All you need to do is head to the competition page, a link to which you can find in the description below, and answer a simple, Googleable question.
Googleable question. Googleable is a word, you know.
Is
I
it?
looked that up earlier, yes. Anyway, good luck to everyone who enters that giveaway. Moving on, Komoot has announced a new feature to premium users of their mapping platform. So you'll now be able to scour away for new routes and plan your trips on the desktop app using 3D map view.
It's now possible to tilt the map and see exactly how the contours of the terrain change in reality. I'm actually off to Crete next week in Greece with my old teammate Larry Warbass for a bike packing adventure, and took a moment to double check the slightly crazy climbs I've managed to find and take on, just to make sure they're as mad as I hope they'd be. They are, don't worry. We're making a film about our efforts over to watch on GCN Plus very soon, by the way, so stay tuned for that.
I've got a feeling that with that function, my rides might look very different if I could tilt the map to the side, which I can now do, because I would try to avoid most of those major climbs.
No surprises in store for Dan.
Glad you kept yours crazy though. Moving on again, Sonny Colbrelli will unfortunately not be continuing his career after announcing his retirement at the end of this season. The Italian sprinter and rouleur is perhaps best known for that remarkable victory at the brutally muddy Paris-Roubaix about this time last year, wasn't it?
It was. However, he won't be continuing in the sport. After collapsing during the Volta Catalunya earlier this year, in which Colbrelli required defibrillation, the 32-year-old was diagnosed with unstable cardiac arrhythmia and later fitted with a subcutaneous defibrillator implant.
Now, whilst it is possible to still compete with such a device fitted, in Italy specifically, it's against the law for athletes to compete with one. And as a result, it appears Colbrelli and his doctors have decided it will be unwise to continue racing professionally, putting his health and his family first, which has got to be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. And we wish Sonny all the best in his next phase of his life. And to close Cycling Shorts now, though, we'd like to leave our own tribute to the great Brian Robinson, who sadly passed away at the age of 91.
We would indeed. So Robinson was a real trailblazer in cycling, in the truest sense of the word, you've got to say, and will always be remembered as one of the greats of our sport. So he was the first native English speaker and British rider to win a Tour de France stage in 1958, the first Brit to finish on a monument podium, which he did in 1957, plus the first British rider to win the Criterium du Dauphiné, which he did in 1961.
At a time when no one from Britain had managed to impact the professional racing scene on the continent, it could be argued that Robinson was the first to break through. He left a legacy like no other, and his achievements both on and off the bike will always be remembered. So Brian Robinson, thank you for everything you did.
Next up, hack / bodge of the week. Good to see Connor's not as confused with the / as Hank was last week. Anyway, first up this time around, this one from Crit. Electrical tape saved my wallet. I couldn't afford new bar tape, so I used electrical tape instead.
I mean, it serves a purpose, doesn't it?
Well, if you can't afford anything, in order to continue riding a bike, that's surely going to be better than having a bare bar.
For sure, I think the only thing I'd be concerned with would be quite slippy.
Could be quite slippery, yeah.
It'd be slippy if it was sweaty.
Particularly for indoor training when you get sweaty, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you've got some grippy gloves though.
What's the alternative? Cheap alternative, do you think?
cheap alternative?
Inner tube?
Inner tube,
yeah.
or potentially like a duct tape. Would you get a grippy duct tape? Or
that might start be edging towards the cost of new bar tape. But I reckon an old inner tube would serve you better than an electrical tape like that, because as Conor said, it is quite slippery.
Yeah, inner tube's a good shout actually. Yeah, I'd go with that.
So I'm going to give it a bodge because I think that there is a better and equally cheap alternative with an old unused inner tube.
I'm going to go bodge too.
Okay.
Begrudgingly.
Well, we are in the majority, Conor, because 91% of voters went with bodge on that one.
There you go. Okay, right, next up, this is from Exerbitek. The bottle bodge. Negotiating wheelie bins, foot trapped in mudguard completely slapped off. And we've used it looks like they've used a milk bottle
From
Morrison's, no
Other
less.
supermarkets are available.
Yeah, and milk varieties. Now, stronger than the original. Could have done a better job, but hey, one consideration could have made it to be a mud flap. Anyway, next time. I mean, it's fixed it, hasn't it? But I agree, you could have made that into a bit of a flap. You could have extended it down, but I think it's a bit of a tried and tested method, this one. I've done it myself.
I'm going with hack as well for that one, because anything that means that you're not throwing away something, you continue to use it, has got to be a good thing.
Definite hack. I did a massive version of this on my bike when I was putting my son in a bike trailer, because I wanted no mud to spray in his eyes after one particularly disastrous ride. So I had a full carton on the back wheel. But yeah, great hack, nice one.
Did you get in trouble when you got home with a very muddy child's
I
face?
just quickly wiped his face off before we went in the front door.
Well, our viewers have decided that's a bodge actually. 63% going bodge, 37% with hack. Chris Cooler 21 said harvest time in the US Midwest means it's time to start thinking about bringing the bike inside and putting it on a trainer. Instead of buying a $10 or $20 top tube protector, I used a piece of leftover $3 water pipe insulation. Cheaper solution that keeps excess out of the landfill. All prizes given out submissions, or are prizes given out submissions that are voted 100% hack. Well, I can tell you, Chris, it has not been voted 100% hack. I'll let you know the results soon. What are you thinking?
I'm going bodge on this one. I've got a few reasons. One, I'm worried that the pipe insulation is going to absorb all the sweat.
Yes,
so
I was thinking that normally the pipe insulation that I've come across looks quite absorbent and certainly not waterproof, which is the aim of the game in this one.
So if you're in a shed and you leave that for the whole winter, it could be a bit mouldy by the end. I've encountered a few mouldy bits of equipment in my shed.
And be completely counterproductive to the original aim.
Yeah.
It keeps the water on the bike.
Plus, got another point, it's just covering the top tube, which I would have thought would be, the most robust part, and there's no headset coverage. That's where I'm always worried about sweat leaking into it.
So it's a bodge for me and Conor then.
It's a bit of a missed bullseye.
Well, once again, we're in the minority on this one because
we?
57% of people have deemed that one a hack.
I mean, fair play, you've reused an old pipe cleaner, but I'm not sure pipe insulator.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure it's going to serve a purpose. I mean, it's just going to get in the way with your knees as well.
Feel free to prove us wrong with another submission on the GCN app.
Yeah, do it. Anyway, moving on to Aaron Miulis, the cold weather helmet cover. Put a large thick hat over your helmet and then wear a professional grade ski mask under your helmet for a fat bike tyre commute. In bad weather, the helmet hat will catch the snow so you don't get brain freeze without ice cream. It will trap your head heat in an air pocket between the ski mask hat and the big helmet hat. It looks good, but it works in my experience in minus 30 degrees.
It looks goofy, but it works.
But is this not just a helmet cover that he's bought?
Well, it works in sub 30 degrees centigrade with snow and 40+ km/h headwinds. So it must seriously work well.
I mean, it works. I'm just trying to understand this. So he's put a hat underneath the hat.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, to create, it's a bit like double glazing, with a bit of air trap between. It keeps it much warmer.
Fair play. Okay, yeah.
So if it allows you to ride in those sorts of mad conditions, then fair play.
Yeah, that's a hack.
You can afford to look goofy because I don't suppose anybody else will be out and about.
I was worried someone was trying to sneak in just a standard helmet cover without any sort of
this is for
customization.
really extreme conditions. So I'm going with hack.
Yeah, I'll go with hack for that one. Nice one.
Well, we are in the majority on that one. 58% versus 42, hack versus Bodge. You might be wondering where the Halloween special is going to start. Well, it begins now. We'll go through them very quickly. This is the first one, which came in from Lady Di. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be pretty nervous of that if I was swapping off and they appeared next to the group ride.
Yeah, very good. The next one, well, we've got last year versus this year from Jojo 1976 in terms of pumpkin carving. Here's last year's effort. Good, great, I say. But we've gone up another notch this year. Check these out.
That is solid. That is a good effort. I mean, the font on that.
It's incredible.
I'm not sure how you've done it.
Brilliant job, Joda. That is an 11 out of 10 from me. Definite hack.
Yeah, fair play. I hope they haven't gone mouldy like my pumpkins at home. Picked
Already?
It up too early, yeah.
Oh, crikey, we only did ours yesterday.
Our head fell down into it and it's looking pretty scary actually. So I think we stayed away from our house. But yeah, fair play on that one. Cracking job, much better than my efforts.
And finally for this week, this is fantastic. It's from MarkyMoo.shaft. Halloween Bat Cycle Recycle Art by Marky Moo, made out of bike scrap. That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Definite hack from me.
Hack from me as well. I didn't actually look at the results on the Halloween ones, but I'm assuming that most of you would have voted those hacks. If you would like to get involved in next week's show, you can vote on the hacks and bodges that are already up on the GCN app. And if you'd like to get involved for a couple of weeks' time, make sure you submit your own.
Right, it's time for Caption Competition. No GCN Elite water bottle for you this week. Instead, we have got a copy of the complete guide to cycling psychology for you, our latest book available in the GCN shop right now, packed full of advice and help to get you to your next cycling goal in the best mental shape possible. If you aren't lucky enough to win one in Caption Competition right now, you can of course buy one in the GCN shop right away. So last week's photo is actually a photo of Hank in the book, staring in disbelief as Mark pulls away from him on a tandem.
Yes, that one came in from Owen underneath the show last week. So well done to you, AWEN. If you get in contact with us on Facebook with your address, we will get this psychology book sent out to you as soon as possible. It does look like he's being dropped, doesn't it?
It does.
It's got a pain face on.
I think that's Hank realising what he's got himself into there.
Reality had set in by that point. Right, this week's photo comes from, well, a couple of days before the Singapore Criterium organised by ASO, the organisers of the Tour de France. I will get you started. The Singapore Criterium claims another victim of early celebration.
She's been pipped on the line though, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I mean.
That's true, yeah.
That was the idea behind the caption.
You've put me on the spot here because I haven't had time to prepare for a caption.
Well, I've just given you one.
Fair enough. Go on then, we'll go Dan's.
Well, obviously it didn't go down very well with Conor, but if you think you can do well yourself, please leave your captions in the comment section down below. We'll pick a winner next week. Before we let you know what's coming up on the channel this week, and before we even tell you the comments of the week, quick heads up that tickets for the Global Bike Festival 2023 are now available. Go to globalbikefestival.com. You will find all the information there. I had a brilliant time last year, so we'd love it if you joined us next year. So, comments from last week underneath the show. This was from Mark Brim. Side brings 100% dad vibes, and I'm here for it. That is when he's with Hank, as he was last week. Otherwise, I think it's me that brings the dad vibes. Meanwhile, GTWO said, seeing Hank's mind blown on the reverse forward slash for the viewers is the funniest thing I've ever seen on the show.
Under 7 things that will make you a happier cyclist. Kevin Hoffman got in touch, said, man on watching for traffic while urging Conor to hurry up with his bit on the tarmac is fantastic. Safety first, as always. And this comment from Brian Hansel under why you're always tired. The most common cause is kids haven't been rested in 5 years to feel your pain. You just learn to ride tired because you learn to do everything tired.
Very true.
Yeah.
We cycled to work every day for a month, and this is what happened. Had this comment from James Shelley. I really enjoyed this video showing the everyday cyclist. Really encouraging for those of us that are not into competitive cycling. More like this. Thank you. Well, there will be plenty more along those lines for you, James. Right, in terms of what we've got coming up on the channel this week, tomorrow, if you're watching us on Tuesday or Wednesday otherwise, we've got the top 5 tips for staying warm in the winter. No doubt we'll have hundreds of Canadian riders giving extra tips below and telling us that we don't have a proper winter here in the UK. Feel free to get involved though, we do love reading them all. On Thursday, we'll let you know how to maintain fitness over the winter months, and on Friday, you can finally find out how well Cillian Kelly got on his Zwift Academy journey. So you remember that he started with the Zwift Academy, did all the sessions, and he took his final test to see what the improvements were, and we'll all get to find out just how much he did improve over the course of that journey.
Yeah, it was a cracking effort by him, I must say. On Saturday though, we have Ollie talking about how he's gone to 5 watts a kilo, how he's managed to achieve, let's say, at the best fitness out of all of us GCN presenters. He's absolutely fine at the minute, so he's going to share with you all just how he's managed that.
Yeah, it pains me to admit it, but he would most certainly drop me.
He absolutely
not the other way round.
Crushed us on that coffee ride.
Meanwhile, over on... sorry, we've got Sunday to go, haven't we?
We do, still have Sunday. Don't forget Sundays.
Yeah, gravel versus road. So we did an epic autumn ride, and you can see the differences between the 2 styles of bikes and the rides that they had with them on that video coming on Sunday. But over on GCN Plus, the documentary this week is all about one of the most famous climbs in the world of cycling, the Stelvio over in Italy. So Jonathan Schubert was joined by Adam Hansen, amongst other riders, to look at the history and the culture around the climb, and indeed chat to a few of the riders who've made their name on that particular mountain. And in terms of racing, it's mainly about cyclocross this week. On Tuesday, which is today as you're watching this, we will already had the Koppenberg Cross, the first round of the X2 Trophy this year. If you didn't watch it live, well worth catching up on that one because it's an absolute epic. As is the course for this weekend's European Championships. They take place on Saturday and Sunday in Namur in Belgium, which is notoriously tricky, muddy and tough, with lots of single track through the trees and a cobbled climb to boot. So 2 cracking courses on GCN Plus this week. We've also got the Saitama Criterium coming up for you from Japan on Sunday, which basically rounds the road season off.
Cracking racing to come. I'm going to have to get watching all of that. Looking forward to some cyclocross action as well. But that's it.
That's about it. Oh, I just forgot the US Cyclocross series as well continues on Saturday, Sunday night. Slightly different times if you're in the UK or Europe between Saturday and Sunday, because the clocks go back in Massachusetts on Saturday night. So there you go. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week.